Okay, let's just dive right in. We're going headfirst into what is, I think, one of the most compelling and morally complicated stories in all of Norse mythology.
It really is. This isn't just a simple tale of gods and monsters.
No, this is a deep dive into what happens when you have dangerous knowledge. When the rulers of the cosmos, Odin and the Aesir, they know the future, and in their desperation to stop it, they start down this path of deception and incredible sacrifice.
That's the core of it, really, the central tension. You read the source material, and the Aesir are usually presented as these figures of wisdom and power and law, even.
You're right, very rigid.
But here, they're driven by this raw terror. It's a kind of pragmatism that just throws honor right out the window for the sake of survival.
So our mission today is to really excavate the material around Loki's secret family. And let's call them extreme measures Odin took to deal with the 3 children he had.
Extreme is the word for it. We're charting a journey where every single action the gods take to try and prevent destiny, well, it just helps lock it into place.
And the sources we're using, they give us these incredible, almost painful little glimpses into the exact moments that Asgard's stability really started to crack.
We're focusing on the children Loki had with the giantess Angrboda, and of course the binding of Fenrir's wolf, which is an event that costs one of the noblest gods his hand, and just. It completely changes the moral landscape.
It's that classic theme, isn't it? Prophecy versus free will.
Exactly. The gods get the ultimate spoiler alert. They know about Ragnarok.
Yeah.
They know how it all ends.
And they think they can change it.
They think they can rewrite the script. But in doing so, in committing these acts of violence, betrayal, and just permanent cruelty to protect their present.
They create the very monsters they're afraid of.
Precisely. They turn these potential threats into guaranteed immortal enemies who now have a very, very good reason to hate them.
Okay, so to get this, we have to start with the father.
Yeah.
With Loki.
You have to.
The sources describe him as incredibly handsome, which is a key detail, right? His charm is what made him tolerable to the gods, even when he was so dangerous.
It's his saving grace for a while. But fundamentally, the texts label him undependable and self-centered at best, mischievous or evil at worst. He's just chaos in a very handsome package.
A permanent liability, and you see that liability reflected in his family in Asgard.
Yeah, his wife, Sigyn. The texts say she was once happy and beautiful, but now she's just perpetually burdened.
There's a great line that says she always looked like she was expecting bad news. She's the walking embodiment of the anxiety that Loki creates.
She is. They have 2 sons, Narfi and Vali, who are, good boys. But Sigyn's constant tension, that's the key. She's a living monument to Loki's wildness.
And his inability to just fit in.
And she's the barometer for disaster. The sources talk about his habit of just vanishing for long stretches of time.
And during those times, Sigyn looks like she's braced for the very worst news of all.
And when he finally comes back, he has this telltale look. It's described as shifty and guilty, and also as if he were very proud of himself indeed.
That combination is so perfectly Loki.
It is. He doesn't regret the trouble, just the possibility of being caught, and he's so pleased with his own cleverness.
And he does this a couple of times, this vanishing act. But the third time, that was one time too many. Odin steps in.
Yeah, because the problem with Loki isn't just that he keeps secrets, it's that his secrets have cosmic, world-ending consequences. He wasn't just off making minor mischiefs.
No, he was in Jotunheim, Giantland, starting a whole other family.
And this is where Odin's wisdom, all that knowledge he's gathered, becomes a weapon against his own blood brother. He doesn't need Loki to confess.
He already knows.
He just looks at Loki and says, "I have dreamed a dream. You have children."
And Loki, of course, tries to deflect. He brings up Narfi and Vali.
The predictable move. But Odin just cuts straight through it. Not them. You have 3 other children. You have been sneaking off with Angrboda, the giantess. He just lays it all bare.
And Angrboda, her name literally means she who offers sorrow. So this isn't just some affair.
No, it's a profound challenge to Asgard. It's an alliance between Loki's chaos and the primal power of the giants. It's designed to breed doom.
That's the context. Angrboda is the vehicle for a prophetic disaster.
And Odin's vision confirms it. The source material is completely clear on this. These 3 children were designated as the greatest foes of the gods in the time that is to come.
That is basically a death sentence for Asgard. So how does Loki react? He's just been found out and told his secret kids are destined to end the world.
It's the most Loki reaction possible. The text says he tried to look ashamed.
Tried to.
But succeeded simply in looking pleased with himself. The idea that his lineage, his defiance, would be what brings down the gods. It fills him with this perverse pride.
And that seals it. That look on his face. Odin can't tolerate that.
Not for a second. He immediately calls a war council. He commands a swift, decisive military mission. Go to Jotunheim and seize those children. Now.
The urgency is palpable. He knows if they wait, the children might grow too powerful.
So he sends two of his absolute best, and interestingly, two very different gods, on the mission. He sends Tyr, the god of honor and law and single combat.
And Thor. Brute force.
The perfect combination in a way. The moral high ground and the irresistible might of Asgard. They travel deep into giant land, fighting their way through until they finally reach Angerboda's keep.
And what they find there, it's described as deeply unsettling.
Even for gods. They find the three children playing in the hall, and they are, and I quote, shocked by what they saw. Even though they knew what to expect, the reality of it still stunned them.
But only for a moment.
Only for a moment. The mission was absolute. They seize the children immediately and bind them for the long, hard journey back to Asgard.
The way they transport them tells you everything you need to know.
It really does. The oldest, who's a serpent, has to be tied to a pine trunk. The second, a wolf cub, has its muzzle tied shut with willow branches.
And the third, Hel, just walks alongside them, described as gloomy and disturbing. They're not prisoners. They're dangerous cargo.
Which leads to that amazing kind of eerie exchange between Thor and Tyr on the march back.
Right. Thor asks a really good question. He says, why aren't the giants chasing us? Not even the creature's mother has come after us.
He's thinking tactically, and he suggests, it's as if they want us to take Loki's children out of Jotunheim.
A chilling thought. And Tyr, who's already started to show a little bit of an affinity for the wolf cub.
Yeah, it's been scratching its neck, he shivers. He just dismisses it as foolish talk, but the seed is planted.
What if Angerboda, she who offers sorrow, what if she knew that the best way for her children to become strong enough to challenge Asgard was to put them right in the middle of it?
It's a fate trap. By trying to contain the prophecy, they are literally carrying it home with them. 2 more brutal days of travel, and the children of Loki arrive in the heart of Asgard.
And almost immediately, the gods realize their problem is much bigger than they thought. The growth rate of these children is unnatural.
Staggering is the word the text uses. The journey is barely over, and the oldest child, the serpent, is already showing this exponential growth.
It's Tyr who reports it to Odin, right? He says the serpent was tied to a pine tree.
But it is now longer than the pine tree it was tied to. This is Jörmungandr.
And he's not just big, he's lethal.
Forewarns everyone. Careful, it can spit burning black venom. He says it spat at him on the journey, and that's why they had to bind its head so tightly.
So this is a chemical weapon, basically.
A biological one, yeah. The venom is described as burning black, which implies something deeply corrupting and unnatural about it.
And Odin, faced with this thing that's growing by the minute and spitting poison, he makes a strategic decision. Not execution, but placement.
Exile by placement. He says, we will send it where it can harm nobody. And the only place big enough is the great sea that circles Midgard, the world of men.
Odin does it himself. He carries Jörmungandr to the shore, frees him, and just watches him swim away.
And this act, it doesn't solve the problem, it just moves it. The text explains that the serpent would just keep growing in that deep gray water until it encircled the earth.
So he becomes the Midgard serpent. He's a geographical feature now, an elemental boundary.
An immovable force of destruction, just waiting. And once he uncoils for the final battle, the world itself will start to break apart.
And there's that moment of doubt from Odin.
A huge moment. As he watches the serpent disappear, the text says he wondered if he had done the right thing.
It's a crack in his confidence.
A big one. He admits that dreams know more than they reveal, even to the wisest of the gods. He's second-guessing himself.
He thinks he's getting rid of a threat, but he's actually putting the serpent in the exact right place for it to fulfill its destiny. The solution is the catalyst.
So, with Jörmungandr dealt with, Odin goes back to the hall and calls for the second child, Loki's daughter, Hel.
And the physical description of her in the sources it's everything. It defines her whole purpose.
She is the embodiment of contradiction. The gods who brought her back had already noticed it. If you stand on her right, you see a beautiful girl.
But from the left,
You see a corpse. And Odin studies this extreme, almost unbearable contrast.
let's break that down because it's so specific.
Yeah.
Right side, the living side. Her cheek is pink and white, her eye is the green of Loki's eyes, and her lips are full and carmine.
The image of vibrant, youthful beauty.
But the left side, the side of death. The skin is blotched and striated, swollen in the bruises of death.
Like lividity, total decay. Her eye is sightless, rotted, and pale. And the mouth on that side is lipless, stretched over skull-brown teeth. She is literally life and death in one body.
So Odin asks her the only question you can ask. Are you alive or are you a corpse?
And her answer is so chillingly calm. I am only myself, Hel, daughter of Angrboda and of Loki. She is completely self-aware. No fear, no shame.
She already gets it.
Yeah.
She tells Odin she prefers the dead because they treat her with respect. The living, she says, just look at her with revulsion.
So Odin, knowing the prophecy, he gives her a kingdom. He makes her the ruler of the deepest of the dark places and of the dead of all 9 worlds.
And this is the moment the Norse afterlife splits in two. This is the knowledge nugget from this part of the story.
It's so important. Hel doesn't rule all the dead. Valhalla is for warriors, the Einarjar, those who die a glorious death in battle.
Hel's kingdom is for everyone else.
The vast, vast majority. Those who die in what the gods consider unworthy ways.
Disease, old age, accidents, even childbirth.
Exactly. She governs everyday, mundane death, the end that comes for most people.
And when she accepts this huge eternal job, she smiles. But only with half a mouth.
The living side smiles. Odin takes her down to her realm, this vast, cold, lightless hall. And there she names her possessions.
Her bowl is hunger.
Her knife is famine.
And her bed is sickbed.
And those names are so symbolic. They describe the experience of natural death. It wasn't quick or glorious for her subjects. It was slow. They were consumed by lack, by illness.
A pretty grim picture of the afterlife.
It is. So Odin has now compartmentalized 2 of the 3 threats. Jörmungandr is out in the ocean. Hel is deep beneath the earth.
But there's still one left. The smallest one. The one who seemed least threatening at first. Fenrir.
The one whose destiny was tied most tightly to Odin's own.
Fenrir. He was brought back as just a small, puppy-sized wolf cub, gray and black with dark amber eyes. He seems like the least of their worries.
Which is probably why he was treated so differently. He was the only one an Aesir god could, actually approach and form a bond with.
And that god was Tyr.
It was. The source says Tyr took a liking to the cub right away. He played with it, scratched its head, and, this is crucial, he's the one who took off its willow muzzle.
So there's trust, right from the very beginning, between the wolf and the god of honor.
A genuine bond. The text says Fenrir was incredibly intelligent, he could speak as a man would speak, and he had this enormous pride.
And Tyr was the only one who dared feed him.
The only one. Even Thor was wary. But every day, Tyr would bring the wolf his raw meat.
And that daily act of care, that's the foundation for the deepest betrayal in all of this.
It is, and that bond gets tested almost right away because Fenrir's growth is it's off the charts. It's not natural.
The sources track it. One day, he's the size of a normal wolf. The next day, he's the size of a cave bear.
And then a great elk. Within weeks, what started as a cute cub is now this massive crisis filling the god's courtyard.
And as he gets bigger, the other gods back off. They're terrified. But Odin's concern is deeper.
Much deeper. He watches the wolf grow with foreboding because those dreams, his visions, they never stopped.
He knew.
He knew this was his doom. The source is so clear. In his visions of Ragnarok, the wolf was there at the end of everything. And the last things Odin would ever see were the topaz eyes and the sharp white teeth of Fenris wolf.
So this becomes personal for him. It's not just about saving Asgard anymore. It's about his own survival.
Which is the motivation for the deception that follows. The gods hold a council. The wolf is too big, too strong, too smart. They can't fight him.
So they have to bind him.
And they can't do it honestly. They decide to trick him. Frame it as a game, a test of strength, to play on his pride.
So attempt number 1. They go to their forges and make the heaviest chains and shackles they possibly can.
Just impossible to move, let alone break. Or so they thought.
They bring these chains to Fenrir and just lay the flattery on thick.
Total manipulation. You've grown so fast, Fenrir. Time to test your strength. Can you break these?
And Fenrir, who still thinks this is an honest game, he's all for it. He just says, bind me.
The gods smile. They think they've got him. They wrap him in these huge, heavy chains.
And what happens?
He waits. He lets them finish. And then he just flexes. The text says the chains snapped instantly like dry twigs.
An absolute humiliating failure for the gods.
Complete failure. Fenrir howls in triumph, so happy with his own strength. But then he warns them. He says, I broke your chains. Do not forget this.
He's still playing the game. He doesn't get that it's not a game.
Not yet. And there's this painful little moment the next day when Tyr brings him his meat.
Oh, right. Fenrir asks if they'll test him again, and Tyr says something like,
He's trying to be casual, and he says, yeah, they probably will. And then he adds, I would wager my right hand on it.
the dramatic irony. A throwaway line that's about to become horribly literal.
So attempt number 2. They go back to the smithies. This time, they need something even stronger. They forge a new set of chains.
And they name them Dromi.
Dromi. These were gargantuan. The source says each link was too heavy for a normal man to lift. They used iron from the earth and mixed it with iron that had fallen from the sky.
Meteoric iron.
The strongest material they had. They bring Dromi to Fenrir, and this time they up the ante with the flattery.
They offer him glory.
Universal glory. They promise that if he can break these, your strength will be greater than that of any of the gods or the giants.
It's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
And Fenrir, he sees the risk, but he accepts. He says that famous line, there is no glory without danger.
So he lets them bind him with Dromi, and at first, the chains hold.
The gods think they've done it.
They see the beginning of triumph in their eyes, but they just completely underestimated his raw, primal power.
He doesn't give up.
No, he starts to twist and writhe, straining with everything he has. His eyes are flashing, foam is flying from his jaws. He's just this explosion of chaotic energy.
And Dromi breaks.
It doesn't just break, it shatters. It fractured and then broke with such violence that the pieces were thrown far into the air. The text says bits of the chain were embedded in mountains and trees for years afterward.
Wow. Their best effort, completely destroyed.
Utterly. Fenrir shouts in triumph, but this time, he notices something.
What's that?
He sees the gods' reaction. They did not seem to delight in his victory, not even Tyr.
And that's the moment.
That is the moment the trust dies. He's the son of Loki. He's intelligent. He broods on it. He realizes they weren't testing him. They were trying to imprison him.
And so he gets bigger and hungrier and more suspicious. He becomes a ticking time bomb in the middle of Asgard.
And the gods are now facing an intelligent, powerful, and deeply betrayed enemy.
So brute force failed. Twice. The gods are in a full-blown crisis now. And Odin, haunted by his own death prophecy, he knows nothing physical is going to hold Fenrir.
This is where his desperation pushes him into a different realm of thinking, away from engineering and into magic. He draws on the wisdom from Mimir's, the knowledge from hanging on Yggdrasil.
He has to fight physical strength with something conceptual, something impossible.
And utterly treacherous. So he calls for Skirnir, Frey's messenger, a light elf.
A suitable choice for a mission of craft and subtlety.
And he sends him across the Rainbow Bridge to Svartalfheim, the land of the dwarfs, to commission a new chain, Gleipnir.
The dwarfs knew what this was for, didn't they?
They shivered when they heard. They understood this wasn't for some giant. This was a bond meant to defy the laws of nature itself. They set a huge price, and Odin paid it.
And this is where we get to the legendary ingredients. The magic of Gleipnir is all in what it's made of.
Exactly. It's not metal. It's made of 6 impossible things. 6 concepts, really, that are woven together.
Okay, let's go through them. This is one of the coolest parts of the mythology. What's the first one?
The first is the footsteps of a cat.
The footsteps of a cat. So
Yeah.
the sound a cat doesn't make when it walks.
Precisely. It's the concept of silence and weightlessness. The dwarfs took the absence of sound and turned it into a fiber. You can't use muscle to break silence.
That's incredible. Okay, what's number 2?
The beard of a woman.
Something that doesn't exist.
Or is assumed not to exist.
Right.
So they're taking something that is a conceptual impossibility in their world and using that non-existence as a component.
So the chain is woven from things that are defined by their absence. Number 3.
The roots of a mountain.
Okay, that sounds solid.
But you never see them. They're abstract. They're the idea of being anchored, the principle of being grounded, but without any of the physical weight. They took the unmovable force, not the rock itself.
I see. 4th ingredient.
The sinews of a bear. Not the muscle, but the sinew, the connective tissue, the very essence of tensile strength and resilience separated from the physical bear.
The abstract concept of a bear's power. 5th,
The breath of a fish.
which is water. Invisible. It's an ungraspable essence, a fleeting transfer of life.
Exactly. And finally, number 6 is the spittle of a bird.
The lightest, most transient thing imaginable. It's barely there, and then it's gone.
And by using these 6 things, which the sources say we never see anymore because the dwarves use them all up, they created Gleipnir.
A bond made of pure impossibility.
Skinner comes back after sunset with just a small wooden box. Inside is what looks like a silk ribbon, smooth, soft, almost see-through, and it weighs, the text says, next to nothing.
The ultimate trap. Ultimate strength hidden in ultimate fragility.
So now they have the weapon. They lure Fenrir out to the shore of a place called the Black Lake. He comes running to them, still proud, as a dog will come when it is called.
The gods are terrified, but they hold up the ribbon. They call it the strongest bond of all.
And Fenrir, who's not a fool, he just looks at this flimsy little ribbon and scoffs. He refuses.
Right. He says it's not a real challenge. There's no glory in breaking a ribbon.
He sees right through it. So Odin and Thor, they switch tactics. They go from flattery to taunts. They call him a coward.
But the wolf is too smart for that now. He looks at them with those amber eyes and says, I scent treachery and trickery. I will not consent to be tied up by it.
He knows it's a trap. So Odin, in his desperation, he does the unthinkable. He swears a sacred oath as the father of the gods, promising they'll set Fenrir free if he can't break the ribbon.
And Fenrir's response is just devastatingly perceptive.
It really is. He looks right at Odin and says, "You lie, All-Father. You lie in the way that some folk breathe." He sees the lie as part of Odin's very nature.
He knows the oath is worthless. If he's bound by something he can't break, they're never going to let him go.
So he makes his counter-demand, the only possible guarantee of their honor. You can tie me up if one of you will place his hand in my mouth.
And he promises to hold it gently.
He'll release it if they free him or if he breaks the ribbon. But it's a test of their integrity.
And the silence is deafening.
No one moves. Every god looks at every other god. And in their hesitation, they confirm Fenrir's suspicion. They're all in on the lie.
And then, Tyr steps forward.
The only one. The god who had a real bond with the wolf. The text says he sighed this deep sigh of, resignation and conflict, and he just stepped up.
He doesn't hesitate. He raises his right hand and puts it in Fenrir's mouth.
Just as he had done when Fenrir was a puppy and they had played together.
Oh, that detail is just brutal.
It is. Fenrir closes his teeth gently on Tyr's wrist. The single, honest act of trust in the middle of this huge collective betrayal.
And with a guarantee in place, the gods move fast. They bind Fenrir with Gleipnir.
The magic is instant. The ribbon shimmers and just wraps around him, making him completely immobile.
They tell him to break it.
And he struggles with this unimaginable force. But the magic of Gleipnir kicks in. With every struggle, the ribbon gets stronger. It's feeding on his own effort.
And the moment the gods realize they're safe, they laugh.
They do. It starts as snickering, then chuckling, and then full-blown laughter. Thor's booming guffaws and Odin's dry, victorious laugh. They won. The relief is total.
But one god is silent.
Only Tyr. He doesn't laugh. He just stands there, feeling the pressure of Fenrir's teeth on his wrist.
And Fenrir stops struggling. He looks into Tyr's eyes, the one god he trusted, waiting for the promise to be kept.
And the laughter of the other gods is the answer. The promise is broken. Tyr knows what has to happen. He closes his eyes and just whispers, "Do it!"
And Fenrir bites down.
Severs the hand at the wrist. Sharp. Final. Tyr doesn't make a sound, just binds the stump. The price for Asgard's safety is paid by the one god who tried to maintain a shred of honor.
So with Fenrir bound and Tyr's sacrifice made, the gods move to make it permanent. There's no time for remorse.
None at all, just security. They take one end of Gleipnir and thread it through a stone as big as a mountain.
And then they hammer that stone deep into the earth with an even bigger rock.
Deeper than the deepest ocean. This is a permanent prison designed to hold until the end of time.
And Fenrir, enraged and powerless, he curses Odin.
And in his curse, he confirms the prophecy. He screams, "Treacherous Odin," and he vows that at the end of all things, he will kill the All-Father. He will eat the sun, and he will eat the moon.
He basically accepts his role at Ragnarok, fueled by a completely justified hatred.
Exactly. The god's actions gave him the motivation he needed. And they're still terrified of his jaws, so as he's twisting and snapping, one of them does something else.
The final cruelty.
The final torment. A god thrusts a sword into the roof of the wolf's mouth, and the hilt wedges his jaws permanently open.
So he can never close his mouth, never speak a clear thread again, just silent agony.
A permanent silent scream. The text describes his saliva pouring out from his open mouth.
And it forms a river.
A literal river. The wolf becomes a feature of the landscape. A small mountain with a river flowing from a cave mouth. His rage and pain are turned into geology.
And once the gods are a safe distance away,
they laugh again. They clap each other on the back, smiling. The huge smiles of those who believe they have done something very clever indeed. They think they've beaten fate.
But Tyr doesn't smile.
Tyr never smiles. He keeps his own counsel. His missing hand is the physical proof of their dishonor, and his silence is the moral judgment on their clever victory.
So that's where they end up, the three children of Loki, all contained.
Jörmungandr encircling the world and the ocean, waiting for Thor, Hel ruling the dead deep beneath the earth, and Fenrir bound by magic, his rage building until the end of all things.
The irony is it's overwhelming. Their attempts to prevent Ragnarok just guaranteed it. They set all the pieces on the board exactly where they needed to be.
And they ensured their enemies would be ready, in place, and righteously, justly furious.
So, wrapping this all up, what have we learned from this deep dive? We've seen how Odin's fear of a prophecy, his own death specifically, led the Aesir to commit this organized, outright betrayal.
They thought they were being pragmatic, but all they did was use their own dishonorable actions to create these three eternal enemies. And it all came at the very real physical cost of Tyr's hand.
And that key knowledge nugget we pulled out is so crucial to understanding the Norse world. The afterlife isn't one size fits all.
Not at all. It's defined by how you die. Valhalla is for the elite few. Hel's cold, grim kingdom is the destination for the vast majority of humanity who die of sickness, old age, or accidents.
The whole story really boils down to the cost of that foresight. They knew the future, and in acting to change it, they only solidify the anger of their enemies, making Ragnarok an absolute certainty.
Which brings it all back to Tyr, the god of honor who makes the ultimate sacrifice. He gives up his hand, his fighting strength, to ensure the gods are safe. But he's the only one who doesn't celebrate.
His silence is the whole point, really.
It is. So here's the final thought for you to mull over. Was Tyr's silence a greater betrayal to Fenrir? Because his complicity, his willingness to offer his hand, is what made the whole trick possible.
Or was it the mark of true nobility? Acknowledging the horrible necessity of the act without ever celebrating the deceit and the dishonor it required. He paid the price, but he refused to share in the sin.
What is the real cost of knowledge when you know exactly what sacrifice is required for safety? A sacrifice of your honor, your integrity, a piece of your own body. Tyr knew the price, he paid it, but he refused to feel proud of it. And that tension between cosmic need and personal morality is what makes the story just timeless.